Hello, glorious humans. We are live to chat with Brooke Hilton, one of my favorite humans. Um, just waiting for her to pop on. And then we're going to have a chat, a fun chat for this Thursday evening, all about circle medicine and embodiment and basically how circle medicine has impacted her life and transformed her business. I love to chat with people who are really embodying circle work in all parts of their lives and businesses, and I can bang on about it all day, every day, but it's really nice to chat to other people so you get another person's perspective, not just mine. Just waiting for her. Wonder if I can invite her. Oh, yes, I can. That's the thing about these lives. We kind of waste a few minutes. Here we go!
Hello.
Hello. Can you see me okay? Hear me okay?
Yeah. I can see you. I'm just like, what do I do with my screen?
Uh, all right. Hi. Hello, everyone watching. I can kind of hear myself talking back, but I think that's okay.
Oh,
How are you on this Thursday evening?
yeah, good. I have just been snuggled up on the couch actually, so I'm ready. I've been doing nothing. I've
Because it's
literally
so
just put you with my cup of tea into my bed, so you're welcome, guys.
perfect. Because it really is. It's so freezing. I'm also snuggled with a heater on because it's cold. Um, so I really wanted to do this live with you because hi, Danny. I love you, and you are such a great example of embodying circle medicine in your personal life, in your business, in all of the ways. And circle has changed your business trajectory somewhat. So, do you want to just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and what you do and how you got to this point?
Well, I am Brooke. Brooke, I am. And I'm a birth keeper, doula, whatever word you want to use. For me, birth keeper fits right now as someone who holds space for the rite of passage of matrescence in all that matrescence is. So keeping that space and how I landed in the birth world. Yeah. In this lifetime or another, like I'm not
Well,
really sure.
in all
But was,
these lives, right? Here, in this
yeah.
one, in this one.
But in this one, it was my younger sister was pregnant and had her little boy in 2014. And she, witnessing and holding her in her pregnancy, birth, and her postpartum, because she was living with me, catapulted me into this space of why don't I do this? Why? It's like I had this opportunity to remember, and I remembered, and I've been steadfast in it ever since. So it slowly it slowly reared its head, constantly, called to friends' births and other family members' births, and then landed in a space where I could give it some attention while I was on my fertility journey. And so I did, and then whilst on that journey, I ended up conceiving Frankie, and here we are, 2 and 3. She's almost 3, so I've been in the doula space full time um, since she was born. Basically, I attended births from when she was 7 months old. I don't recommend that part. I don't recommend that part now. in hindsight. But yes, I was back at birth when she was 7 months old, and mm,
Mm.
it's a beautiful space that does not come without its challenges, that's for sure. Um, but yes, a space that allows me to expand both personally, but also allows that expansive energy to permeate through the families that I get to hold.
Love it. And I love that you're local as well. We're so
Mm.
happy. We have such beautiful birth keepers. And then what brought you to circle work and service? And how did that kind of begin and change the birth work that you do?
I, I guess for me, being now based in Adelaide, I'm originally from Queensland. So the big thing for me was finding or connecting to the community in ways that I didn't really have an in Adelaide. For those that know Adelaide, it's a bit tricky sometimes to find somewhere to land. And the circle, I think that you advertised when I was, I don't know, like 2 months postpartum or something, I felt like I was missing. I couldn't attend. I think it was a doula circle that you'd run, and I felt like I was like, why? I should be there, but it's not my time. And then as soon as I landed in the space of circles, which was just in my reading and your online rhythm and flow group, it just, again, another cannonbolt into a space that just kind of sang to my heart. And I was like, yes, of course, this is what I'm here to do. Sign me up. And I guess you as, finding you within our community here in Adelaide as, someone that's created all of these beautiful spaces for birth workers and families, it was easy to just drop in and connect with you. So when I saw that you were running this training, I thought, I trust her. This feels right. The timing works. And I'm constantly a forward thinker in that sense where I go, I can find connection and build connection and create connection in this community that feels somewhat disjointed. And here I am.
Yay, and I'm so glad you are, and you're doing such amazing work with it. Um, so many beautiful things you said. Yes, the community can feel sometimes a little bit disjointed, and when you are starting out, what's interesting because you were a mum, I think many of us get called to birth work when we move through the birth portal ourselves, and then we realize what we're wanting to offer is what we crave ourselves. And having little ones and being on call is a lot, but having the option to create community support and circles and not be on call still offers that support to our community without having to be on call, and then we can do more on call as we get older. So you train to do circles and you train me to do it, like with circle medicine and blessings. How has that worked in with your business? How has that kind of woven in with your offerings, and how has it changed things?
Firstly, yes, when we are going through that birth portal, the emphasis is really put on the things that we crave and that innate wisdom of like, I need connection is so important right now. So how it's intertwined into how my business runs is one, it just simply slotted right in. It allowed me to do exactly that, to create these spaces that I couldn't find or I wasn't aware of, and to build that awareness of the magic of circles, but also the mother blessing speaks to the side of all of this work and all of these words I use about honoring that rite of passage, honoring our pregnancies and our births, and even honoring our postpartum self. So the mother blessings have been a complementary addition to my business, where I get to hold these sacred containers for these women and the people that they love the most, usually in these settings, and allow them to be held as the one, as the most important person for those little pockets of time with their loved ones, and allowing them to remember that they too are important. I guess society focuses so much on the babies, right? Oh, the little squishy babies, which, yes, we love babies, but we have to love the mother first so that she can love her own baby and feel supported and nourished in that space to do so by her web of women, by that web of energy that connects us all. And circle medicine just fills that so beautifully.
Oh, yes. Mother blessing. That's what originally called me as well. I was so frustrated, like you said about birth is always seen as like the main event. And I talk about this probably on every live with every doula and birth keeper. Birth is the main event, and then we forget about postpartum, and we forget about, we get a bit stuck in like this old paradigm of baby shower. And I still think that baby showers can serve a purpose, and I wouldn't shame anyone who wants to have a baby shower, but they do tend to focus on the baby and the things and the stuff, and not about this incredibly potent rite of passage through this portal of transition, where there's a lot of feelings and there's a lot of nuance and there's a lot of like, yes, there's joy and excitement, but there's also fear and grief and all of these other things. And we really don't talk about grief in motherhood enough, which is something that I talk about all the time. It comes part and parcel. Whenever there's a rebirth, there's a death. That's kind of how it works in this human existence. There's always death when there's birth, and so we have to honor that grief. And the mother blessings really honor that grief and that transition fear, and that's why we talk about matrescence. So in my training, we talk about circles. We talk about the circle medicine as physiological truth. It speaks to our physiology and our need for connection and belonging, um, and to be witnessed and seen. And so then we work through mother blessings, maiden reclaiming. We talk about wedding blessings. We talk about birthday blessings. We talk about closings. We talk about postpartum period. So it's like honoring all of the different rites of passage, same formula and the same, foundation and roots based on physiological truth. And yeah, it's beautiful, and it does complement. And I think that for a lot of mothers and a lot of women, we do feel quite unsupported. And so, and a lot of the older generation that would have supported us in the past are like still working and still doing their own things. And so being the mothers and the creatives that we are, create the spaces that we need and that we want, and then we can step into that. So sounds like you've really, really been able to do that, and mother blessings in particular, so perfect for birth work, especially to diversify outside of being on call. And now you're running pregnancy circles and a pregnancy retreat, right?
Yes. So I started with the pregnancy circles. I've been doing mother blessings on and off over the last 12 months, but that was whilst doing the training. And I feel like I've really landed in them once I was able to complete the training. And one, yeah, so let's go back. I started with the pregnancy circles, which have been incredible. I have another one next Friday, which I'm very excited to hold that space for. And selling them out is, I know I messaged you and I'm like, what? How do they sell? What is this? But the feedback from them being that, these women and these birthing people are just trying to find a space to honor themselves, to also feel like they're not the only person on this planet feeling the way they do, or having these emotional, you know, outbursts and all these things that they think are so abnormal because, you know, society do not talk about those things, please. You know, put your grief and your feelings and all of the other things into a box. And so they come to these circles where they feel safe enough to be brave, and they feel safe enough to listen with open hearts to these other pregnant people in the room. And you know, that common thread that comes up in circle is there's always a common, you know, word or theme or feeling that seems to permeate through the group, and it allows them all to feel like they're in a space where they belong and where they're fully seen and heard. And the magic in that is sometimes, well, for the first circle I did was very overwhelming for me to go, I've created this space. And, you know, I remember sitting at the start of the circle and just like gazing my eyes around the circle and going, wow, like not only are, you know, 12 other women sitting in circle with me, but the energy from their womb babes was like electric, and I'll never forget that moment ever. So hooked on circle magic and medicine. You know, that was kind of
It's
that
the,
one point.
yeah, it's the same energy like birth, like the oxytocin that we all know when we've attended births. It's the
Yeah,
same in circle, right? It's a
yeah,
feeling that we can't put words to.
yeah. It's so hard to articulate what, yeah, it's the same when you walk out of a birth, that oxytocin rush, that release of emotions afterwards, because your whole body is just like, how do I witness magic as my job? You know, I literally sit in circle and or sit in ceremony, which is what I do at births. You know, it's very much a ceremony for those people that I hold. And yeah, the oxytocin is, you know, somewhat addictive sometimes.
It
Every
really
birth
is.
worker loves the oxytocin rush.
Once you've been, when we've been doing it for lifetimes, we come back into this life like, bring it on, how can I find it?
Yeah,
And because we're not supported necessarily to be on call in the mother phase, we're like, how else can we create these ceremonial
yeah,
spaces that elicit that oxytocin? And as humans, we are so primed for oxytocin as our reliever of stress, and we live in such a stressful, it's our environment is completely counterintuitive to our physiology and to the way that we are designed to be innately. And so circles brings us back to our humanness. It brings us back to what we're really designed for, which is pleasure and joy and belonging. And it's also about witnessing, I say this a lot over and over, but witnessing ourselves by witnessing, like through witnessing others.
yeah,
And being this allows us to witness the beauty and wholeness of ourselves. Because you look, when you go around circle and you just go like, oh, I'm not, and everybody feels this, and the circle itself becomes the shaman, the circle itself becomes the medicine. And it's incredible. Every circle will bring exactly the medicine that that group of people need. And there is no other way to describe it than magic. Because there's no words to describe the feeling, like you said. And I've tried in my training to create the formula to explain why it happens and why some circles work and some circles don't. And some circles elicit that feeling and some don't, and potentially contribute to disconnection if we haven't really embodied that, where it comes from, the medicine, and how we elicit that. So yay, we're speaking the same language. It's just so beautiful. And selling out is like you sold out your first one in the first couple of days. And so it is honestly a beautiful, what's the word, like contribution, or it works really well, weaves really well with birth work and, you know, and other offerings that people might have, you know, if they're postpartum doulas, antenatal doulas, birth doulas, massage therapists, service-based providers, being able to have the ability to hold circle just brings such depth, and it builds those relationships with the clients to such a deeper level. I know being able to offer mother blessing clients just brings this whole other depth and level and allows you to create a deeper relationship. And I think that especially since COVID, with such disconnection and with a lot of women, especially in the hospital system, not having access to those, like all the mother groups and things, were really, really, really craving. So the minute that you can start up pregnancy or postpartum circles, I think they're the people that really fell through the gaps. I think that fell through the gaps of support and just with already isolated and unsupported, but then had this extra level of being unsupported, and then having really a lot of trauma and stress around the births because they didn't know if their partners could come, they didn't know if their support people could come. And so being able to sit in circle with other people who have experienced that creates this sense of belonging, and also this understanding that we've all been through this together and we're in this together, and we understand each other on this extra level. So now is if there was ever a time to reclaim circle medicine, because we've been sitting in circle as women, particularly longer in our ancestral history than we haven't, it's time more than ever to reclaim this. And I think that it's really showing up for you, the way that you're just like selling out quickly, your retreat tickets are flying. And I think all of my students, that's pretty much the case. And even if you get a few people not being able to come, you can often just feel those spots because people are longing from such a biological cellular place. We want sitting in circle and being witnessed. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Every single word. It's the one, the selling out, but it's, for me, having the training behind me, so that knowledge that goes layers upon layers deeper than what I thought it was going to go, which is so needed and was so needed for me to unravel and remember and unlearn. It's the unlearning part that is like a daily for me in the work as a birth worker. It's the unlearning of, things that we just naturally roll out of our mouth because society is, thinks that's appropriate, and things about unlearning about holding space and that you don't have to do anything. And all those things have been coming to me over the last couple of years. But the circle medicine training was just like this big, like, big kind of like, Brooke, here, remember. And once I was able to sit in the remembering and embody the things that I love, and which are, to hold space with deep reverence and with deep love for the people that I'm sharing in those rooms, then the confidence to just boom, the manifestor in me just set it up, here we go. And I felt like I'd been doing it for lifetimes, which, like you said, probably have. But to do it in this lifetime, for where I'm at right now in my life, is just so perfect. And to be able to see each person, like, energetically, physically, emotionally, hold them, it is my heart work. I know that. It's why I'm able to do it and love every moment of doing it when I know I'm fully embodied. Because when you're not fully embodied, that's when things get all funky, and it shows, it presents in all of these spaces, in all of these sacred spaces. If you're not fully embodied in the offering or simply holding space, which isn't so simple sometimes, then things can get funky. So yeah, I guess for me, and the retreats coming up, is all about these pregnant mums, all about the mamas. And it's all about holding that space from where I am right now, which is grounded and alive and embodied in birth work and circle medicine.
I love that so much. And it's so true. There's a lot of wounding around, right? There's a lot of disconnection and there's a lot of untamed ego and a lot of trending. And a big part of why I teach what I teach and the reason that I put this stuff out there is because I saw a lot of re-traumatization happening. And when we were talking about, you know, circle medicine and coming together in circle, it's actually really easy to create, like, there's a fine line between these like beautiful medicinal spaces and like toxic contributing to harm spaces. And when we have sisterhood wounds and we have witch wounds, like, it's really easy for people to kind of move into that other place. And just hearing some things from people about how they've been felt really unsafe in certain spaces, and even myself experiencing things. I'm going to do a live just about why I don't do eye and breath work in my circles. So stay tuned for that in a couple of days, because my own experiences around that, it's a really powerful tool. And it's really important that we understand not just, you know, the activities that we do and the rituals that we do, because you can easily learn that stuff off Google, like, you know. And I can say myself, before it was popular, before I had anyone to learn from, I read every book that I could find. One thing to put it in your mind, this is why I'm talking so much about embodiment. It's one thing to know, it's another thing to embody. It's another thing to be so present, like be able to hold space with empty presence, that you can feel the energy and that you can really tailor the space holding to that particular circle, and to ensure that your stuff, you know, we facilitate and we hold that space, and it's our capacity that is required to hold that. But it's not about us. We become vessels. And so if we're walking in there with a lot of our own stuff and we're not embodied and we're not grounded and we're not practicing it ourselves, that's when shit can get funky. So I really want to talk. There's a couple of questions which I'll get to in a second, but I feel like we could talk about this for just half an hour. When we talk about embodiment, you not only facilitate and hold space, but you also have your space held. And I want to talk a little bit about your own personal experience with your closing ceremony. So Brooke, I'm really passionate about closing ceremonies. I don't facilitate or teach closing of the bones, which is a South American specific ritual. And then there's also various other cultural kind of specific rituals. But this is something that in my work, really felt there was a gap. And I just channel ceremony. I think that's my thing that I do. And then I worked with the energy, and then I put it out there to my students. And Brooke came to me and said, you know, it's my birthday soon, and I really want to shave my head, and I don't really know what I'm doing about that, and you know, and honor the fact that I've become a mother. And I was like, cool, let's do this, let's ritualize it, let's honor it, you know. So we did a thing, and I'm going to post the video soon, but I just want you to talk about it from the perspective of a participant, and then how that's also impacted your work.
That closing. Yes, I participate. I attend circles, and I have space held for me, because being a space holder, your nervous system is fried in a hot minute. And if you aren't replenishing and therefore being able to embody what you do, then you're actually no good to anybody. You're unable to show up authentically because your nervous system is fried AF. So, yes, being held is like all of the goodness for me. Bring it on. I would honestly, this is the one line that I've been saying since my closing, is every single person deserves to be held like I was on that day. I'll get teary and choked up, because power in that day has forever changed how I will hold another person. To be held this is it. Like, this is my response to that day, is like, there are not many words, because having space held for you to drop deep into vulnerability, to drop deep through layers of, or just acknowledging matrescence, that in itself is really hard. The grief of the maiden, the grief of life before babies and birth and motherhood shows itself up. And, you know, a lot of people have nowhere to release and to rebirth themselves after such a monumental phase in their life. And yes, I'm still sitting in that phase. And, you know, if I and when I am blessed to have another baby, I will roll back through another closing. You bet I will. But this particular one, this urge to shave my head, I honestly don't. It's like it was the initiator to this whole closing ceremony coming to life. So here she is, but I don't just letting her do her thing. This was like the bonus of me living out this, you know, reoccurrent dream that just kept coming and coming to me. Like a literal dream, not like a fantasy dream. It was like, shave your head, shave your head. And I'm like, what for? What am I going to do? What? Anyway, so you and I had many conversations about how do I, and I want to make it worth it. Like, if I'm going to shave my head, I think the picture you shared is me with like long dark hair. And I'm like, people are going to be like, she's not talking to the same person. But I'm not the same person as that photo. I am not. I am not that same person at all. Completely closed off and rebirthed in to what feels like for me the true essence of Brooke right now. So being held in that space by, was there 5 of you? Like, it feels like we were all just floating on another planet. So, you know, to be held in that space by the group of women whose energy is so potent and was so in sync with mine, being that we're all birth workers or energy workers, or with child at the time. You know, there were a couple of belly babes there. So all of that potent energy was holding me for this entire afternoon, allowing me to drop in, allowing me to be seen, which as a mother, everyone sees the baby in front of you. They very rarely stop and lock eyes with you and see you in that moment. So being held and seen and nurtured and wrapped and loved, and God, I can't wait for you to share the reel so that people can kind of put these words into visuals, because there are not many words. And I've been using the word magic over and over and over, because that is the only word that will ever explain how circle and closing and mother blessings lands in your body. I mean, but we can talk about the landing after closing. It takes several days. But the feel, it's, yeah, I will just say it over and over. Every single person deserves to feel held and loved as I did for that entire afternoon. Like, this should just be the normal. The fact that I could come and unravel out of that and be some, I don't know the word, literally reborn, literally rejuvenated. I literally allowed everything to pour out of me and everything to be buried and closed, and allowed that death of the old version of me to literally leave my field. And I came back through like this. Amazing.
Yeah, you really did. You really did. And you looked different. You looked different when you came out of that cave. I purposefully haven't shared anything until after we spoke, because then I thought everyone will be super anticipating to see, because the picture I've been creating with the pictures something to share, and like I get teary just thinking about it. I get teary just looking at it. And this is why I've called this circle medicine, because the medicine flows through not just that the person who is receiving, but for us who are holding. We're coming from a really regulated, grounded, centered place. And that's why one of the biggest things that we talk about that a lot of people don't realize is the system is the center of our ability to hold space. And in order, in our very crazy, noisy world, to center our nervous system is often to be with others and to be held by others. And what you said about everyone deserve this, it should be the norm. I can't, like, it is, it's, that's what we're here for, isn't it? Like the revolution of creating, reclaiming this. And it really is a rebirth, because we hold on to the old stuff until we are allowed to be witnessed and shed that, and until we give ourselves permission for that. And that's about slowing down and really acknowledging the really hard, uncomfortable feelings and the grief that comes with that, and releasing the fears and being able to be vulnerable creates that portal for expansion and transformation. And we were all transformed that weekend. Like, and it's taken us a long time to land, and then we look at the photos and we just get transformed there again. And it's the same with other closings that I run. That's why I'm really passionate about closings and why it's a big part of what I teach, because mother blessings are a beautiful, expansive ceremony, and birth is a ceremony and an entire rebirth, and and the postpartum. And then we also have this period of time where we're in this sort of limbo and we just get on with life, and we still need to acknowledge and be witnessed in all of what's going on. So closings can happen more than once, and they're always different, because we're always shedding. As cyclic beings, we're always needing to go back to that place. So I'm so grateful to have been able to witness you in that space and witness your expansion and rebirth, which it really incredibly was. And I think we all were reborn somewhat. And I feel like every closing that I hold space for, it's this, they're so different for each individual person, and it's very, very energetic. It's very energetic work, and it works with the fact that when we leave our bodies to collect our babies, it's about how we come back through, and then what we're carrying with us, and all of the things that are going on for us individually. And that's why each individual ceremony is so unique and so potent in its own way, even if you've had more than one baby, because each time is different, each birth is different, each experience is different. But yeah, the fact that it changes the way that you hold space as well by experiencing it yourself, right? That's the embodiment. That's the
That
essence of the embodiment.
absolutely, that is the embodied. That's the potency of how I hold space from that day onwards has been so different. Like, even just upon reflection of how I held people at the start of the year to how I've held families, just in the last couple of months, has, if I could be a fly on the wall in either of those scenarios, you would literally think that I was somebody else. Core values still stay steadfast, but amplified to the point where I very simply can hold space. There's no, a lot of birth workers that are new into the space, or, they like to use their hands. They like midwives sometimes, they don't know how to sit on their hands, or they don't know how to just allow people to release without trying to fill the gaps or without trying to fill the silence. And not so much that I did that before, but there were definitely moments where I've gone, oh, you should have maybe just taken a step back. But since then, being aware and embodied in that space allows you to hold space as the word holding space should be. Holding that
Yeah.
space for people to process and move through what they need to without interruption has been my
Yeah.
big one.
And even without energetic interruption, without an agenda, like
Yeah,
without an agenda to sort of rescue or save, because when you can witness yourself in your wholeness, you can witness others in their wholeness. And there is no need for me as a whole being to step in and save you or, rescue you, because you are a whole sovereign being and you are able to do anything that you need to do for yourself. And I just hold that without judgment, without the need to fix, without an agenda, without a bias, without and an unregulated nervous system creates a sense of frazzled, like you can't separate your own energy from someone else's, and you carry through other clients' energy, and you carry through your family's energy, and you carry through all your stuff. And so being able to step into a space with what I'm always saying, with complete empty presence, means that you're there and open to receive whatever the energy arises. And if you feel activated because your personal stuff is being triggered for whatever reason, someone's having a birth experience and choosing things that you wouldn't choose, or a client is saying things choose or do, maybe I think my battery's going a bit flat. Then you're able to not be activated, and you're able to separate your stuff from their stuff, and them through their ability to make the choices that are right for them within their wholeness. And that's why the embodiment is so important. That's why I'm always saying you can't hold space if no one is holding space for you. You can't take others further than you're willing to go yourself. I just want to have a thing on whenever I come up with those things. We really need to keep going back to that place of being held. It's a duty of care for us to be held, because we can't hold space for others as well if we ourselves are not doing that for ourselves. And if we are all knowledge based, like I know a few students have said to me, they start running circles, and it's really heady. And I know that feeling when you don't feel confident. We've talked about confidence in circles as well. Like if you don't feel confident, then you come from a place of like, what's the next thing that I have to do? And what's the next thing I have to tick off? And what's the activity? And we get really in our head about it. But if we're really embodied in the practice, and we're really experiencing it, and we're practicing it ourselves in our own lives, then that's where our confidence comes from. It doesn't just come from practice. It comes from actually living it ourselves. And then the confidence comes, and then whatever arises, we can be with. And that's the difference about all of this work, holding space, is it's not doing, it's being. And in our culture, we're so obsessed with doing. Doing is glorified. Doing means you are, well, this is why I say the more you pay for things, often it's like in the hospital system, it's like the more that they'll do, because doing is the thing that people seem to want. But actually in birth and in any holding space, it's about doing less and being more. And so if we can come from that place of confidence and embodiment, then we're not tempted to do more. We just can sit with and be with and feel into, because it's really about feeling.
yeah, absolutely. It's, you said before that a lot of us want to do and have things and be things, and a lot of it's head heavy. But if you are coming back to nourishing your own nervous system, and not just with massages, because that's what I did for the last 18 months before I realized that I needed more than physical touch. I needed to be held. I needed to feel safe. I needed to sit in vulnerable settings that allowed me to, release and rewire. And that's especially for birth workers, because obviously that's who lands in my space a lot with fried nervous systems, is they just want to be held and heard. And then, as a fellow birth worker, sometimes I don't have the capacity, if I haven't had my space held for me, So yeah, the circle medicine and understanding that and having that lived experience amplifies the way you're able to land and embody and hold space through all of your life, really, for your family. Like, that's changed massively for me, for the families that I hold. So for my clients and mamas, and for the circles, yeah, and for my friends, you know,
Mm,
like it literally comes around full circle and permeates through your entire life and all of your
mhm,
connections. That's one of the biggest bonuses for me, is how it's actually allowed me to kind of step in fully in all of those ways.
it ripples out. And this is why it's not a luxury, right? It's not a luxury to support our nervous systems. It's not a luxury to sit in circle. It's a necessity. It is what our body yearns for and craves. It's literally our reclaiming of our humanness and remembering and rewiring of all these things that we've been told that have set us up for disconnection. And it really does bring us back home. And it's also not a destination. It is a journey. So it's an ongoing journey. And this is where people think, oh, well, I just do the one thing and then I'm good. No, it's got to keep going. But the other thing is that that's why, we talk about the old times of the red tents, and women would come and gather and vision around the bleeding time, because women would tend to get. It was a necessity for them as humans. It was a necessity for the community, where they had needed vision for the community. And we forgot that. We forgot how important it is to us as humans, and how it makes everything better. It amplifies thing. It ripples out to our families, to our business, to our clients, to ourselves, like to everyone. Um, so we've got about 10 minutes. I'm just going to quickly say, I'm going to obviously tag Brooke. So if you're in Adelaide and you're looking for Brooke's incredible, amazing services, she has circles and pregnancy circles and a pregnancy retreat. And obviously she's a doula, but pretty booked out, and also runs Wise Birth. Do you want to just quickly talk
Uh,
about your?
yes, my Wise Birth education program will be birthed out into the world in spring. So it's literally just going through the final stages, and I've been doing some one-on-one sessions with my Wise Birth program. So those are available, as just DM me if that's something you're keen to learn about. But the essence of the Wise Birth program is coming back to you, to speaking the feminine language of birth, understanding and embodying your role as literally being yourself, and understanding the psychology and the physiological process, but also energetically and spiritually the transformation that birth brings forth. So it's a delicious, delicious program that I can't wait to birth and be able to hold in workshop settings. But for now, it's one-on-one while it grows within. Um, and I'm so excited. I think I messaged you earlier today and said, I think my heart's going to burst. It's such a beautiful program that doesn't speak to it's very non-linear. It doesn't speak to the structure that comes with a lot of other birthing programs, and breathe this way and do this way. It's all about intuitive, and that primal connection, bringing back that primal connection. So I'm excited to launch that. But yes,
Embodiment.
Mama Retreat happening next month, which again, similar setting. There'll be opportunities to learn some of my Wise Birth um, program within that retreat, as a way to discover and reflect on pregnancy and, yeah, journey into birth. So super excited. So many good things. You said it. Birth support for me is fully booked until March next year. Which I don't even, yeah, that's just how it happens. But yes, pivoting a little bit in my business next year so that I can hold space for more families, whilst taking a small step back from the number of births that I take on. One, for my nervous system, two, for my family, and three, because I've been on call for the last few years and it's time to give myself a little bit more breaks in between births.
And more circles, right? Like you're moving
Yeah.
to include more circles and more blessings, because the need for blessings, like the desire for blessings and closings and ceremonies is huge right now, isn't it?
Yeah. It's so big. So yeah, there'll be more weekends available for me to do blessings. There will be more space for me to run circles, both pregnancy and postpartum circles to be released. Postpartum's coming soon. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just, it's so nice to be able to feel into it and know that, I think Jess put a comment on here before, that the search for community and be in the company of like-minded people so that, you know, mums can feel validated and seen and held is so needed in our society. And she's worded that perfectly, hasn't she?
Mm-hmm.
And even
Yeah.
more so through birth and postpartum is that need for community and connection. So yes, creating so many wonderful spaces for the families of Adelaide and the Fleurieu Peninsula.
Yes, and not just like matrescence really needed, but you know we need more maiden circles. We need like young, need more matriarch Marga circles. We need more of all of it. We need more of all of it. And I get asked a lot. And the worst thing that happens, the reason I created my training, because I wasn't doing so many ceremonies and I had no one to refer to. So I was like, come on, who can I refer to? Who's doing this work? And that's where my training was born. So I'm really glad that you're doing that. And Brooke and I and Erin have been talking about an embodied space holder, birth keeper, and circle medicine training. So, because I can't teach anything that doesn't include circle medicine. Circle medicine weaves through every single thing. I think everything we do needs to come back to circles in some way or another, because that's what speaks to our physiological truth. That's what we need so badly right now. So we're looking at running that. I have in my the link in my bio a wait list. So if you're interested, it will be in person only, because embodiment, and with some online components, but it'll be like an 8-day magic circle retreat that is going to be incredible. So we're just kind of working out the details, but the wait list is up if you're interested in that, if you're in Adelaide or you want to come to Adelaide and hang out with us. And if you're a space holder and you are really needing to, or if you're being called to kind of transform and expand, and you don't have that support and you don't have that network, and your business is growing and you want it to grow in a sustainable and beautifully embodied way, then I have the Embodied Space Holder Mastermind and Mentorship that I have applications open for at the moment. It's 5 months where we journey together, because it's all about the journey. It's all about deep connection. I can't do it it's not a training. I don't do trainings, myself anymore. I'm all about journeys and deep connection. It's all about that ongoing support and accountability and living into exactly what you are putting out into the ways that you are serving, and being held in all of those ways, and coming inward so that you can go outward in those beautiful, grounded, centered ways with empty presence, and to create circle medicine as opposed to contributing to kind of any more dysregulation and disconnection and yeah, it's about coming back to remembering for ourselves so that we can serve that for others. So if you're interested, if you're a space holder, if
Do it.
you
Do
want to
it.
support, what's that?
Then do it. Just do
Yes,
it.
come do it with me. If you're not ready for that and you're looking for the blessing and circle medicine training, that's also available. You can join that at any time. There is a group connected to that, a beautiful connective group where you can get support through that, and it goes through all of these modules that we've talked about. It's a lot. There's a lot, right? There's a lot to unlearn.
There's a lot to unlearn. There's a lot of magic available in that training that you probably didn't think you were going to sign up for, and then you do, and you're like, of course I needed this. Because,
You
I
don't
can,
know what you don't know. You don't know
yeah,
what you know. Come in and I'm like, and there's all the rituals, there's a whole lot of like activities, there's all the stuff that's done for you so that you don't have to think about it, and you can focus just on really embodying the work so that you can step in with confidence, and step in knowing that I've got this and I know what I'm looking for. And there's so much there for you to come and dip back into as you're doing the work, come back into it. And the group is beautiful. We've been talking recently about, some of the structured stuff around business and those sorts of things. Because once you learn the work, then there's all the layers of business that go with it. So it's a go at your own pace, lifetime access to the course and the training and the materials and the portal. There's heaps of stuff there. I'm always adding new things. And then we've got our little Facebook group. And then if you want to expand more, if you've done the work for a while and then you want to expand in your business, in your life, go deeper, journey with others who are just as committed and like ready for the revolution as you, and you can't stop doing this work and you're just going to keep doing it no matter what, but you need a more sustainable way and you need to find more ways to bring the money into your business, then the mastermind and mentorship is for you. And Erin and I also have the Rhythm and Flow Rewilding community, which is about cycles, and it's the foundation. We actually are going to rename it Remembering, because it's literally the core foundation and essence of remembering. If you sign up to any of my other programs, you do get access to that as well as part of it, because I can't teach anything without that as the basis. And that's what you started with too.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. And that in itself was like, here you go.
Yeah.
Here's more for you, or remembering. Actually, it was totally remembering. It was a lot
Yeah.
of like, oh yes, yeah. So rhythm and flow was like the foundation of me kind of remembering and then catapulting into all of the beautifulness that you create and offer, both
Thank
you
you.
and
Yes, because you have to go. So, first, it's about remembering for yourself. Then, it's about being able to learn how to hold space for others as they remember. And then, it's about expanding into your business and like being of service in that kind of more structured, sacred, structured way. So, that's the three levels of what I offer and the ways that I'm holding space, because I really love to hold space for space holders, because there's not enough of that and we need to prioritize that more, because we need more people holding space and doing so from a really centered and grounded way, so that you guys can just keep doing it, because I know what it's like. You can't keep doing it if no one's holding space for you. So that's what I'm here for. I'm here to hold space for you, and I really want to, and to expand your businesses. You'll also find us in Adelaide Birth Network, which is a Facebook group that is Adelaide based, and it's an awesome group with lots of providers and consumers all in one. It's a really nice community, and there's lots of meetups and things that happen that people post about in there. And I think that's really all I wanted to say, unless anyone has any questions. We probably have like 2 minutes left, but if anyone has a quick sneaky question, thanks everyone for watching. Oh, that's beautiful, Danny. You're doing some beautiful work in the community. If anyone does have questions and you just get in touch with us, you can send us a DM. Did you have anything that you would like to end with?
just lots of gratitude for you and for the circle of women that hold me on the regular, because without you I would be a mess. No, I love circle medicine so much. It honestly, especially this year, has transformed both me and my business, and I'm super excited to let it flourish